The toehold field was already open on Officer Wade Vickers' cruiser screen when Julian Cross placed both hands on the steering wheel. Julian did not know that yet. He only saw the blue lights in his rearview mirror, clean and bright against the late afternoon road. State Spur 17 ran between pine trees, gated driveways, and a golf course wall with fresh paint on the brick. The speed limit was 45. Julian had been driving 44. A white pickup had passed him 10 minutes earlier, with one brake light out. Vickers had waved it through from the shoulder. A silver minivan had rolled past with an expired inspection sticker curling at the corner. Vickers had leaned out his window and said something that made the driver smile. Then Julian's black rental Tahoe came through with district plates, factory glass, and one black man in a gray suit behind the wheel. Vickers pulled out. He followed close enough for Julian to see the push bar fill the mirror. Julian did not tap the brakes. He did not adjust his lane. He counted the white edge markers and kept the Tahoe centered. When the lights came on, he signaled right. He pulled onto the gravel shoulder. He lowered all four windows, turned off the engine, placed the keys on the dash, and set his hands at 10 and 2. Officer Noah Klein stepped out of the passenger side of the cruiser and stopped near the Tahoe's rear quarter panel. Young, new boots, body camera blinking red. Vickers came to the driver's window without greeting him. License, registration, insurance. Julian kept his eyes forward. Good afternoon, officer. My wallet is in my inner left jacket pocket. The rental agreement is in the glove compartment. How would you like me to proceed? Vickers looked at him for a second too long. Just get it. Julian moved slowly. Wallet first. Jacket closed again. Glove box. Next. Rental packet between two fingers. He handed everything out the window. Vickers took the license and read the name. Julian Cross. He said it like the name was a handle he had just found. Yes, sir. Long way from home. Julian did not answer the comment. May I ask the reason for the stop? Vickers tapped the license against the rental packet. Tint looks dark. This is factory glass on a rental vehicle. Then we will verify that. A sedan moved past in the open lane. The driver looked once, then looked down at the road. Klein shifted his weight near the rear tire and said nothing. Vickers looked inside the Tahoe without leaning all the way in. Overnight bag in the back. Folded suit jacket on the passenger seat. A sealed water bottle in the cup holder. Nothing moving, nothing hidden. Where are you headed? Next county. For what? Business. What kind of business? Julian looked at the badge, not the man. Is that related to a traffic violation? Vickers smiled without showing teeth. You always answer questions with questions. No, officer. I answer required questions. I am asking which ones are required. The license stopped tapping. Vickers walked back to his cruiser. Julian watched him in the mirror. The cruiser door stayed open. Vickers leaned across the mounted computer and typed with two fingers. Klein looked toward the screen, then away. On the display, the citation page did not open first. The tow menu did. Vehicle hold. Asset review. Out-of-state rental. A blank box waited under the line marked articulable basis. Vickers left it empty. He returned with Julian's license in one hand and the rental packet in the other. Step out of the vehicle. For what reason? Officer safety. Julian kept both hands on the wheel. Am I being cited? Not yet. Am I under arrest? Step out. Julian inhaled once through his nose. He had spent years teaching younger agents that pride was not a tactic. He almost forgot it for half a second. The sentence came up hot and useless. You have no idea who you stopped. He let it die before it reached his mouth. Instead, he said, I am complying. I do not consent to any search. I am stepping out with my hands visible. He opened the door from the outside handle, slowly, and stood on the gravel. Vickers moved him to the front of the Tahoe, hands on the hood. Julian placed his palms flat on the warm metal. Klein watched Vickers pat him down. Wallet, phone, keys, nothing else. Vickers did not return the license. He did not issue a warning. He did not say tint again. He walked back to the cruiser, left Julian standing against his own hood, and bent toward the computer. On the screen, the tow hold draft was still open. The rental agreement matched. The road was straight. So why was the tow screen already open? Put him in the narrative before you touch the back. Sergeant Frank Delaney said it low enough that only Wade Vickers, Noah Klein, and the dash microphone were supposed to catch it. Julian Cross heard it anyway. He stood near the front quarter panel with his palms open at his sides now. Vickers had moved him off the warm metal and told him to face the trees. Not for a search, not for an arrest, for scene control. The words sounded clean. The posture did not. Delaney had arrived in an older patrol car with a cracked coffee lid in the cup holder and a clipboard tucked under his arm. He did not ask Julian what happened. He did not ask whether Vickers had written a ticket. He walked to the cargo door, looked through the rear glass, and saw the black transport case under the folded mat. What's that? Private property, Julian said. Delaney looked at him for the first time. I asked my officer. Vickers opened the rear gate. Julian's voice stayed level. I do not consent to a search of the cargo area. Vickers gave a short laugh through his nose. He does not consent. Delaney took a blue property inventory worksheet from his clipboard. 3 sheets, White, yellow, pink. The top corner was already bent from being carried in a shirt pocket. He uncapped a pen with his teeth. Vehicle contains locked container, he said. Possible concealment. Noah Klein stood near the rear bumper. His hand rested on his radio, not pressing the button. His eyes moved from the worksheet to Julian, then to the case. Julian said, "Sergeant, the container has not been inspected. You are describing a conclusion before an observation." Delaney wrote anyway. Possible concealment. The pen left a dark groove through the white sheet. Inside dispatch, Maya Sloan listened through her headset and watched the incident notes stack in order. She had 2 paper cups beside her keyboard. One was empty, one had gone cold. A sticky note on her monitor said, in block letters, "Clean entries, save hearings." She did not clean this one. Vickers leaned into the cargo area and pulled the mat back. The transport case had a red plastic evidence seal threaded through the latch. It was not large, it was not dramatic. Just a strip of numbered plastic, the kind designed to make one small break impossible to deny. Vickers held it between 2 fingers. "What's the combination?" "There is no combination for you," Julian said. "That case requires consent, a warrant, or documented exigency." Delaney looked down at the worksheet. "Exigent inventory." Julian turned his head slightly. "Inventory follows lawful custody. It does not create it." Vickers' jaw shifted. Delaney wrote 2 more words. "Exigent inventory." Noah saw the order. First the phrase, then the act. He kept his mouth closed. A small sound came from the open radio channel. Maya's voice. "Unit 4, clarify. Is the vehicle being impounded?" Vickers looked at Delaney. Delaney took the microphone. "Pending inventory." "Copy," Maya said. She typed the words exactly. "Pending inventory. Not impounded. Not contraband observed. Not driver arrested. Pending inventory." Her finger paused over the save key. Then she pressed it. Vickers walked to the second patrol car and came back with red-handled bolt cutters. He did not hurry. That made it worse. He set the jaws around the plastic seal, as if cutting a price tag from new luggage. Julian did not step forward. He did not raise his voice. He said, "Officer Vickers, Sergeant Delaney, I am asking you to preserve the sequence of this event." Vickers looked back. "The sequence is you refuse to cooperate." "No," Julian said. "The sequence is the record was written before the reason existed." Delaney nodded once toward the case. Vickers cut the seal. The red plastic piece snapped and landed against the cargo trim. Noah flinched at the sound. "Not much." "Enough." The latch opened. Inside the case were sealed folders, a hard drive pouch, and a gray envelope marked for federal custody transfer. Vickers reached in first, then stopped when he saw the agency lettering on the top folder. Delaney's pen stopped moving. For the first time, Julian reached into his inner pocket. Slow, visible. He opened the leather credential case and held it at chest level. No speech, no performance. Just the shield, the photo, and the words that made the worksheet in Delaney's hand look smaller than paper. Federal Bureau of Investigation. Public corruption. Maya heard the next 10 seconds as breathing, static, and one clipped sentence from Julian. Dispatch. Preserve the export. Her cursor was already on it. At the bottom of the incident note, one line still sat in the wrong place. Exigent inventory. That line was entered before the case was open. Did you notice it? Elena Ward pulled the network cable from the records terminal with her own hand. Not hard. Just enough. The small plastic clip clicked against the desk, and the screen changed from Cedarvale Police Department to a white access denial banner with black text. Originating agency suspended pending federal review. Chief Russell Cade stared at it from the doorway. "That is our live system," he said. Elena folded the cable once and set it beside the keyboard. "Not anymore." Julian Cross sat at the far end of the records room with his jacket over the back of a metal chair. He had not asked for water. He had not asked for an apology. On the table in front of him sat only a yellow legal pad and a closed federal phone. Wade Vickers stood near the wall with his hands empty. Sergeant Frank Delaney kept looking toward Chief Cade, waiting for the old order to return. It did not. Cade stepped inside and pointed to the chair beside the copy machine. "Agent Cross can wait outside while we sort chain issues." Julian did not move. Elena looked at Cade. "Why outside?" "For privacy." "Whose?" Cade's mouth closed. That was the Cedarvale habit in one clean motion. Move the person harmed out of the room. Keep the people with passwords near the machines. Say privacy. Mean control. Town manager Elise Hartwell arrived with a leather folder pressed to her chest. She had been pulled from a budget meeting 3 blocks away. Her nameplate was still clipped, crooked on her blazer. "I need municipal counsel on this before anything operational changes," she said. Elena handed her a single-page ORI suspension notice. It already changed. Hartwell did not take the page at first. She looked at Cade. Cade said, "This is being escalated past our local process." Elena placed the notice on the table. "Your local process is part of the review." A state systems administrator sat at the second terminal. He typed with 2 fingers, the way people type, when they know every keystroke will be asked about later. The first denial hit patrol login. The second hit citation upload. The third hit vehicle release authorization. 3 doors closed without moving. Vickers looked at the floor. Delaney said, "This is overreach." Julian looked at him then. Only then. "You used custody language before custody existed. You used inventory language before inventory existed. Now the system is using suspension language after suspension exists." No one answered him. Maya Sloan stood near the printer shelf, holding her employee badge between both hands. She had come from dispatch with no purse, no coat, and a coffee stain on her sleeve. She did not look proud. She looked employed by a place that had taught her which sentences survived. Elena turned to her. "Were you asked to revise any entry today?" Maya's thumb rubbed the edge of the badge. "Not today." Elena waited. Maya swallowed. "Other days, yes." Cade shifted. "That is outside the scope of this incident." Elena opened a blue folder. The first page was an escrow order freezing Cedar Vale's forfeiture account. The second was a patrol transfer form, assigning State Spur 17 calls to the county sheriff until reauthorization. The third was a tow rotation suspension, vendor signatures still blank. Hartwell finally sat down. The chair made a short scrape. "No one told the council this could happen," she said. Julian looked at the legal pad. He had written one line. They were told by every blank complaint that closed. He did not read it aloud. Elena read the access changes instead. Officer Wade Vickers. Patrol authority suspended. Mobile data access disabled. Vehicle hold authority revoked. Federal referral, pending for deprivation of rights under color of law and interference with protected federal material. Vickers reached for his department tablet. The state administrator held out a plastic evidence sleeve. "Not on the desk," he said, "in the sleeve." Vickers placed the tablet inside. The sleeve made a soft sound when it sealed. Elena turned the next page. Sergeant Frank Delaney. Supervisory sign-off authority removed. Prior tow approvals quarantined. Field command privileges suspended pending external review. Delaney looked toward Cade again. Cade did not look back. Elena turned another page. Chief Russell Cade. Command access suspended. No approval authority over evidence release, tow rotation, citation export, or asset forfeiture processing. Administrative control transferred to the county transition team. Cade's hand moved to the radio on his belt. The state administrator shook his head. "That channel is county. Managed now." Cade lowered his hand. That was the first consequence the room could see, without a sentence explaining it. The radio still hung from his belt. It no longer answered to him. Elena placed the final form in front of Hartwell. Emergency field integrity order. No vehicle hold, without a stated stop basis. No search category entered after the search begins. No dispatch correction without an audit trail. No property hold opened by the same officer requesting the stop. No revenue target listed beside patrol assignments. No sealed container opened without consent, a warrant, or command approval outside the stop chain. Each sentence was plain enough to fit on a laminated card. Hartwell signed on the last line. Not quickly, not proudly, but she signed. The pen left a small dot of ink where she paused too long. Klein stood in the hallway, not inside the room, not outside it either. He watched Vickers surrender the tablet. He watched Delaney lose the sign-off box he had used for years. Then Elena handed him a separate page. Failure to intervene. Klein read it once. His fingers tightened at the bottom corner. "You are not being charged today," Elena said. "You are also not being cleared." Klein nodded. It was not forgiveness. It was a record with his name on it. Maya received a different page. Administrative interview required. Dispatch correction history preserved. Temporary reassignment to county communications. She folded nothing. She signed where the line told her to sign. Julian did not look away from either of them. He did not need them to become heroes. He needed them to stop helping the lie move faster than the facts. The quiet ending came weeks later on the same road. State Spur 17 still cut between the pines. The golf course wall still had fresh paint. The old Cedar Vale cruiser was gone from the billboard pullout, and the county unit that passed Julian's rental did not turn around. At home, Julian opened a small envelope returned from evidence review. Inside was a laminated copy of the new field order, cut to wallet size by someone in training who had used dull scissors. He placed it in a drawer. Not as a trophy, as a record. Chief Cade thought delay was procedure. Vickers thought a blank field could be filled later. Delaney thought the order of events belonged to whoever held the pen. They were all wrong. The system did not become fair in one afternoon, but one part of it became harder to use against the next person passing through. And sometimes, that is what accountability looks like. Not a speech, not a crowd, a screen that will not let the lie submit. This is a fictional story created for dramatic and educational purposes. Names, places, departments, and events are invented.